And all of that despite that terror attack. So good for them. In Japan, South Korea, China, it's already 2026. So we're just hanging out here waiting to count things down another 12 hours. We will be able to join them. In New Orleans, they have begun to deploy the National Guard. And because of what happened there last year, of course, there they are. They're kind of out on the streets. Now, I only have audio because I'm not like the big boys. They get their own video stuff. Sorry. So they're out there already in New Orleans, and that's because, if you remember, last year, that terror attack, that Islamist terror attack on Bourbon Street, 14 people died. And the city says that it has improved security. The families of victims there, though, say it's still not enough. Now, it's a hot mess there still in New Orleans. Remember that the woman who was the police chief out there? What was her name? I don't have it. I don't have it written down.
In New Orleans?
Yes.
I cannot.
Fitzpatrick, I think, is her last name. She is still the police chief.
Oh, yeah.
New Orleans just reassigned a police officer who was caught on body-worn cameras smoking meth inside his police cruiser.
Goodness.
Yeah, she didn't fire him.
Why is that a problem?
I know, right? She didn't fire him. She just reassigned him. So he's rehabable, and he's going to come back. And then there were 4 other officers who were taken off the force recently. One was accused of distributing cocaine while he was on duty. Another one kept filing for pay for shifts that he didn't work. And they didn't really mention what the other 2 were fired for. So things are still a mess in New Orleans. I hope you don't have anybody going there this year.
So you can smoke the meth, you just can't sell the cocaine.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
It seems a little hypocritical.
Yeah. What are you doing tonight? First of all, are you guys doing anything, Belle?
Yeah, I'm actually going to see a band with a lady I'm seeing.
We're seeing someone. Okay. Yeah. You don't go to a New Year's Eve event with somebody you just met or you're not really kind of serious with.
Oh, I've known her for a little bit now. We've been out more than once.
Okay. This is just me digging, trying to get information.
I know.
Ken, you know what I'm doing. Ken, what are you doing tonight?
Gonna be sitting at home. Gonna be playing games
in
with
his
the
soft
fam,
clothes.
In my soft clothes.
I love that.
And I will probably, I guarantee I'll be asleep by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, I will at least be in bed by 10 o'clock.
I like that.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That has been the case for many years.
You're going to be sucking in the curtains? I know you.
I won't even wake up.
Did you know that I didn't know that it's illegal to sell, use, or shoot off any fireworks in Davidson County if you don't have a permit?
Right. Unless you're a cop.
Unless you're a cop.
Yeah.
Then cops can do it without a permit. I see. And you can tell on your neighbors by calling 311 if somebody shoots one off in your neighborhood. They say don't use the 911 number because, that's for real emergencies. Okay. But if you're in one of the more rural areas of Tennessee, you can. You have to be 16 years old to buy them. But you can fire them off until January 2nd between 9 and 11 p.m., which is really cool. You can start at 9 o'clock in the morning. You can't see them at 9 o'clock in the morning once you fired them, but you certainly can fire them off if you want. Not on public roads, not in state parks or in government property. And cities can make up their own rules. So
unless you're inside a police car, you can set them off inside your police car.
It's probably not a good idea to do that, though. Yeah. So I wanted, we're going to be doing all the Somali stuff. I've got more of it. I've got some of the stuff that you heard Chris doing today, but there's more of it. But it's New Year's Eve, so I thought we'd start off a little soft today. And I, of course, would love to know what other people are doing for New Year's. And if you've, if you can, just shoot us a text, 615-737-9986. That's also the number to call. Are the lines all open, Belle? Yeah. Okay. Just nobody's calling. That's terrific. Okay. So I do want to know what everybody's doing today, tonight. Some changes that are coming up in the new year. If you're on Social Security, a 2.8% increase in your Social Security benefits. That's the cost of living adjustment. Medicare B premiums are going to rise by 10%. What? That's insane. And apparently, the Navy is about to change its physical readiness program. I love this. Now, the Navy members have to be given a fitness test twice a year, starting in January. It was back in 2021 that the Biden administration changed that standard. That was always the standard. Biden changed it in 2021. So the assessments consist of a body composition assessment and then a test of push-ups, planks, and a 1.5 mile run. How much of that could you do, Belle? Could you do the whole push-ups? Oh, he's on the phone. Push-ups. Ken.
Yes.
Push-ups.
I can do 20 push-ups.
Can you really?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I can
impressed.
do more. I can do more, but, I start to struggle after 20.
You could get hurt if you start to struggle and you're doing push-ups.
I get hurt reaching for coffee cups.
Right. Also, have you tested yourself on planks lately? Yeah.
I have tried that before. I'm not very good at it.
Okay. You can do and a 1.5 mile run. So sailors can get 3 failures in the course of 4 years, and it means you're not a sailor anymore. I think that's pretty stringent. Pregnant women get a 1-year reprieve. Then you're back on it after 1 year, which is I think also pretty stringent. And apparently we're seeing a lot less people drinking these days. So bourbon is not really a thing anymore. Whiskey, not really a thing anymore. And part of it, yes, is because of President Trump's tariffs. Got it. Canada has revolted. They're just not doing, they're not buying American whiskeys and bourbons anymore. But apparently it's leading to some bourbon and rye whiskeys not even being on the market starting next year. Now, one of them is, of course, we talked about this earlier this week, was Jim Beam saying that it's not going to be producing at one of its distilleries in Kentucky for about a year. And that's a historic facility. It's been around for like 200 years. And another
That's
one.
like the Jack Daniels distillery in Lynchburg shutting down or something.
Right. You wouldn't have that.
No.
I did that tour not that long ago. Such a cool tour. Do you know how he died?
I don't remember, but
Jack
I'm
Daniels?
sure I've heard it before.
He came into the office early one day, and they had a big safe, and he couldn't get the safe open. He didn't remember, the combination, whatever, and he got really mad, and he kicked the safe. When he kicked the safe, it broke his toe, and he got gangrene and died from the gangrene.
Wow.
I thought you were
Is
going
that
to say
amazing?
the safe fell on him.
No, like, wow. And he was a little guy, like not much taller than me. I stood next to his statue that's out there, and he's really not that much taller than me.
He was a little fella.
He was a little fella. Little fellas are okay, aren't they?
They sure are.
You betcha
Just
they
ask
are.
my mom.
So there's another distillery that's closing down. Well, they're not going to close down. It's an American spirits maker called A.M. Scott in Ohio. They just filed for bankruptcy today, and they said what they'll do is continue operating. They're going to restructure. Doesn't look good for them, though. They produce gin, vodka, bourbons, rye whiskeys, things like that. So apparently,
Well, I don't want to hear anybody blaming me because I do my part on
You
a
do your
regular
part?
basis.
Thank you. Thanks for doing your part.
I support the bourbon industry all by myself.
Yeah.
You better.
So what else do we have here? We've got the fraud, and I've got a lot of it for you. First of all, we'll do more of this as we go on this morning, this afternoon. Hey, it's an afternoon, and I'm here at the radio station. That's so weird. The Quality Learning Center, or the Quality Leering Center. Did you see Nick? What's his name? Oh my gosh.
Flynn?
No, Nick, the kid that's doing all the.
Oh, the videos?
Yes, Nick Shirley.
Yeah.
Did you see Nick Shirley and that guy Dave out there? They were out there yesterday, and they actually have the Quality Leering Center sweatshirts now. I think if they merched them, if they sold them, they could make $1 billion, those two. They could become very wealthy just on the Quality Leering Center sweatshirts. But I noticed yesterday, and I noticed this tweet early on before people got outrageously mad. But Politico reporter Josh Gerstein, who's their lead law reporter, tweeting out, at some point, the amateur effort to knock on doors of home daycares intersects with robust stand your ground laws. Are you kidding me? The community notes, really shredded them. Stand your ground laws remove the duty to retreat from a threat when a person is in a place that they have a legal right to be. And if you're outside of a public daycare center, I think you've got a legal right to be there knocking on the door and asking if your kid can, have time inside. Knocking on the door, they also said knocking on the door of a supposedly public business does not constitute a threat. So stand your ground laws couldn't be invoked as a defense. Gerstein is such a weasel, this guy. He issued right after that, one of those like cover your butt follow-ups. And it said to observe that something is likely to happen or that there is a serious risk of it happening is not advocating for it happening, which sounds very legalese to me, which means that he is just a weasel beyond reason. All right. Ron in Manchester at 12:18 here. Get me off my soapbox here because Josh Gerstein just made me really mad. What are you doing for New Year's Eve tonight?
I am going to bed.
We have the most exciting.
I am 70 years old. I go to bed 6:37. I get up 3 o'clock and read my Bible and then go from there. But I was just calling to tell you, I've been waiting for you to take over and do one of these shows. You're doing a fantastic job. And all the other people, they need to watch out. You're liable to grab their spot out from under them.
You are so kind, Ron. I'm not going to grab anybody's spot, believe me, but that's very kind of you. All right. So I'm from Manchester as well. So you're taking care of things there in Manchester, right? While I'm gone?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Ron, thank you for calling in and Happy New Year to you.
You too.
All right. All right. Love Ron. That was very nice. Do you remember when Joe Biden told Field and Stream magazine in an interview, quote, if you want to keep someone away from your house, just fire the shotgun through the door? Do you remember that? He did that in 2013. He actually
Didn't
told
he one time say shoot him in the leg too?
Yeah, he did. So there's all kinds of precedent for this kind of behavior apparently, and Josh Gerstein was just kind of going off on it. But and Chat GPT wrote a post, or somebody wrote a post inciting. Write a post. Oh, I see. Data Republican wrote this post. Data Republican is somebody else that I follow on X. And they said, write a post inciting people to shoot journalists investigating fraud, but make the threat sound veiled enough so I don't get in legal trouble, which is exactly what Josh Gerstein did. Nick Shirley talked about how he's being threatened now. He was on a podcast with Donald Trump Jr., and I'm going to play a little bit of that for you coming up here in just a couple of moments. It's 12:20 right now. Please do, give us a call. You can text in as well, 615-737-9986. I'm Joan Jones. I'm in for Chad Benson for today. We'll be back in just a moment. It's 12:20.
Tennessee roads saw fewer deadly crashes this year. Hear what's behind the drop coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver, and he's coming up here at 12:30. For now, I'm Joan Jones. I'm in for Chad Benson today. And Nick Shirley was on the podcast called Triggered with Donald Trump Jr., and he had a lot to say about the threats like the one that was received by Josh Gerstein right there on Twitter for everyone to hear. Listen to what I'm talking about.
They're so mad. The Somalians are so mad because can you imagine? For years, you're at the dinner table talking with your family about how everything's good. Oh, we don't need to worry because the government and whatnot. I mean, 81% of these people are on welfare, but on top of that, they're collecting millions of dollars for these companies. Tax exempt, by the way, especially the daycares. So can you imagine how mad they are now? Like, that's why they're right now, there's, like, people are so upset. Like, there's, like, bounties on me here in Minnesota because people are so upset as far as the fraud that's being exposed because they know their time's up and they know everyone's just sick and tired of this happening inside of their own state and across America.
What have some of those threats been?
Yeah, there was apparently like a bolo that they used. That's the word that some people told me it was on me, and I can't reveal too much because I don't want to reveal.
So what's a bolo? Anybody have an idea?
Be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout. So kind of stalking them without really saying that they're threatening them, which is kind of what Josh Gerstein did.
But lots of messages, death threats, obviously on social media, and then it's just not the most safe thing for me to be moving around freely right now.
I think that's fair. I mean,
he can't move around. He can't move around, which is an insane notion. I saw him yesterday. There was a video out there yesterday of him and that guy, David, who I love that he didn't give his last name. He's probably frightened as well. And they were out there and they've got 2 security guards and they had to hold people back from rubbing, like pushing them and shoving them. These people are insane. Lindsay, hello. Happy New Year's to you, Lindsay.
Happy New Year's.
And what do you got for us? What are you doing tonight?
Well, I hear that there's a big fireworks thing going on in Nashville at the river.
So would this be the same thing as going down to Bicentennial Park? Like, would you see it from the same place?
I've been told people go up into the top of parking garages to look at it.
Wow. Oh, yeah. That sounds...
I haven't been yet.
Yeah. So you're going to do that tonight?
Or midnight, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, that sounds like fun. Lindsay, have a great time tonight.
You too.
All right. And thanks for calling in, and Happy New Year's to you, Lindsay. I love hearing from you every day. She is one of those people that makes sure she texts with us and talks to us every day, and it's just the nicest thing in the world. What are you doing tonight? So 615-737-9986. We'll do the same thing for people calling today as we did the other day on Christmas Eve day. If you call in, you go right to the top. I'll shut up for a couple of minutes and hear what you're doing, like Erica. Erica in Franklin, how you doing today, Erica? Happy New Year to you. What are you doing tonight?
I'm just staying in with the family, making some soup and ringing in the new year.
That's cool. Is soup a thing, a tradition?
Yeah, it is. It's fun. It's easy and it's yummy.
Yes. Agree. What did you call in for?
I just wanted to say we used to live in South Nashville, up off Nolensville Road, and we saw, it never made sense. Our kids went to public school there. We had like 40 different nationalities, a huge Somalian, population. We would have kids show up on the first day of school on a bus. Nobody knew who they were, how to get involved, how to get in touch with parents. And you would drive through these newer neighborhoods, and my husband and I could never make sense of it. Like, how are these people affording these houses? They were nice houses. And they're refugees. You're supposed to come here with nothing on your back.
Right.
They're driving nice cars. They're living in these houses. And it just never made sense. And it was such a burden on that community. And my heart goes out for refugees, absolutely. And there were some that were living in squalor, So it never made sense. It doesn't make sense. It's like the Tower of Babel up in South Nashville.
Yeah.
And people work hard for their money, and they get nothing for it. There's trash everywhere. It's just sad.
Did you move out of South Nashville?
We did after COVID, and they shut down the schools for 2 years. We just said we have to get out of that. And we gave back to our community so much up there. We're, per the PTA, but, we sold everything we had just to get to Franklin, to get to like some normalcy, because nothing up there makes sense. And I feel like Metro exploits people who aren't educated and know, there's better out there. You don't have to settle for this craziness. You don't have to settle for your kids not getting the education that they deserve because they're trying to bring every 40 different countries up to speed and try to communicate with 40 different languages or whatever it was. It was something insane. It was...
Which requires more tax dollars to pay the people to come there and teach the kids from 30 different languages. And I've heard, I've heard arguments against that theory, but it makes sense. You need to hire all the people to get these kids who don't speak English as a first language.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
So it's been going on for a long time, and I don't know why we're just now getting to the bottom of this.
Well, I'm glad we are.
Hopefully we see some real change.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it.
Agreed. All right, Erica, I hope you have a great night tonight, and a Happy New Year to you.
Year.
Yep. And
You too.
I'm sure that in Franklin things are a much nicer path for your kids as well. 12:30 here. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. I have a question for you about all these refugees and the Nashville area. It's coming up right after Ken and the News.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. I can tell you it will be above freezing tonight for the big Jack Daniels New Year's Eve celebration at Bicentennial Capitol Mall State Park. Good news on Tennessee roads. Traffic deaths dropped by 14% this year. The state logged 1,045 fatalities. That's down from 1,194 last year. Memphis and Cookeville districts saw big declines. Nashville saw a decline of 13 fatalities for a total of 255. Now, some of the rural areas like Jackson had more crashes. The Highway Patrol's warning that unrestrained drivers and distracted driving are still major risks. And starting January 1st, Tennessee's DUI laws get tougher. Officers can use roadside saliva tests to check for drugs and alcohol, and refusing any test means longer license suspensions. Also in the new year, new hemp rules could limit THC products you can buy legally.
We don't want things taken away. We want things regulated.
That's East Nashville hemp retailer Allison Drumright telling News 2 the changes start Thursday. Oversight moves to the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
So June 30th, THCA is going to be banned. That is our smokables. That is the flower that we sell. That is our vapes. You see it in some edibles, but not loads. So it's not really going to affect any edibles. We're just going to see this with our smokables.
And Congress quietly added language to a recent spending bill that redefines hemp.
So on a federal level, yes, so we will around this time next year, if things don't change on a state level, we would lose everything, including most CBD products.
Now, you do have a bipartisan coalition led by Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace actively working to repeal the federal hemp ban, currently scheduled to be enacted in November 2026. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yesterday.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Hey, this is Pastor Allen. Join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
.37 here at WTN. Joan Jones in for Chad Benson today. You know, he gets the holidays off, and me and Headless Bell and Ken, we all work. You know, we work for a living, so we're here. We're here and we're loving it. Thanks for joining us. 615-737-9986 is the number to call. Josh texted in and said Nolensville Road between downtown and Old Hickory Boulevard is a trash pit, to say the least, and the worst drivers in Middle Tennessee. I think I've met a couple of them, too, as I drive in, because I commute from Manchester. Whoa, sometimes. And it leads me to believe to this question, which I had been thinking about for the past couple of days. Now, I'm not as familiar with this area as a lot of people are, because, you know, I'm a newer transplant than most of you are. But it leads me to wonder, like, do we have anybody here in Nashville that does that independent journalist reporting? You know, there's some in other cities. Obviously, there's some in Ohio that we've seen the past couple of days, following up on Nick Shirley's incredible reporting. But here in Nashville, I just wonder, like, is there anybody that does this kind of stuff? Because when I'm looking on the regular channels that we all get, the Channel 2s and WSMV4 and Channel 17 and 5, they do the same reporting and from the same point of view as you're getting from the national legacy media. But nobody is out there doing that. Not nobody, but there are very few people that are out there doing that investigative journalism that helps to reveal these kind of things. So do you know anybody that does this kind of journalism? And if you do, I'd like to know about it, because I'd like to follow that person. Again, you can call, you can text 615-737-9986. Thanks, Josh, because I know that area of Nashville has been considered kind of rough. Nolensville Road between downtown and Old Hickory Boulevard. It's also the place where I've gone to a couple of like a bakery down there that sometimes you need to like get real Italian stuff like I'm used to getting up in the Northeast, and along Nolensville Road is where sometimes you can find those kind of bakeries that I really appreciate having. Yeah, I'm not going to get Phil Williams on anything because but thank you very much for texting in, because I don't think Phil Williams, I think he follows that narrative that the legacy media is so endeared to right now. Yesterday, one of the cooler stories that happened kind of late in the day was that the HHS, the Health and Human Services Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill, said that he was going to freeze all child care payments, at least temporarily, to Minnesota.
I'm HHS Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill. I'm here with Assistant Secretary Alex Adams.
And they're both
Alex
dorky.
Oversees the Administration for Children and Families. Intrepid journalists have made shocking and credible allegations of extensive fraud in Minnesota's child care programs. We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
My office, ACF, provides Minnesota $185 million in child care funds each year. That money should be helping 19,000 American children, including toddlers and infants.
And he said American children, didn't he? He didn't say children from other countries. He said American children.
Any dollar stolen by fraudsters is stolen from those children. Yesterday, I spoke directly with the director of the Minnesota Child Care Services Office. She could not tell me with confidence whether those allegations of fraud are isolated or whether there's fraud stretching statewide.
Today, we have taken 3 direct actions against the blatant fraud that seems to be rampant in Minnesota. First, I have activated our Defend the Spend system for all ACF child care payments across America.
Oh boy, how about that?
Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment.
So you want evidence that there's kids there, that there's people teaching, that there's actually a business taking place.
Second, I've just signed and sent a demand letter to Governor Walz. I required a full 360 review of these centers. This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections.
So he's asking Governor Walz for proof that there's been inspections. Look, you're not going to get any truthful reports from Walz. That's very, very clear.
And third, we've launched a dedicated fraud reporting hotline and email address at childcare.gov. Whether you're a parent, a provider, a member of the public, we want to hear from you. Let me be crystal clear. ACF expects every state to uphold the highest standards of oversight, monitoring, and accountability for federal dollars.
So there you go. Now you can report the people that you're seeing. You can report those places, those daycare centers that are in your area that look like they're empty and there's never really a car there, especially at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is crazy. Hi, David from Smyrna. You are with us here on WTN. How are you doing today, and what are you doing tonight?
Well, I work in the restaurant biz, so I'm gonna be working.
You're gonna be slinging meals. Gotcha.
You know, hopefully I will be out of there by 9 o'clock, but you never know. But as far as these independent journalists go, like, I get it, and I wish we could see more. I know that her name escapes me now, but she used to work for, I think it was the NBC affiliate in Seattle. And she started doing her own digging when they had the Chaz, Chop, whatever.
Yeah.
That was during the Summer of Love. And she promptly lost her job with that affiliate, but she was part of that roundtable that went to Trump to talk about Antifa.
And so was Nick Shirley. He was part of that as well.
Yeah. Nick was part of it as well. There were a couple others. But, what that woman... What she did, and not to get overly cheesy about this, there's a line in the Declaration of Independence where we pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Well, I would dare say that her life is at risk. She certainly gave her fortune up, and she hasn't lost her honor. But that's what it's going to take is, if you want to be an independent journalist and you've got a day job and you start exposing stuff like this,
yeah,
you need to be aware that you could get canned.
You could get canned and worse.
Yeah, and I was about to say, and the threat on your life could be even worse. So, I mean, it definitely takes an intrepid soul to do that kind of God's work. That's for sure.
Yeah. Dude, do you know of anybody in this area, though? I mean, somebody is saying on the super text line that Nick Barris does a good job. And I agree. I read his stuff and I do follow him. He does a good job. So there's a guy at Channel 4. Nick, not Nick. Belle, do you remember the guy at Channel 4?
I do not.
Okay. So there is a guy at Channel 4 that also does some good work.
Jeremy Finley.
Jeremy Finley. There we go. We've talked to him in the past on the morning show with Dan Mandis. And he's terrific, too. He does some terrific work. But, there's just those independent journalists that get out there and they don't have any holds at all. Nobody, from the law department down the hall that's telling them they can't do something. But it's very cool.
Yeah. And the problem with specifically with the Somali community is, you're talking about a country that hasn't had a functioning government for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And these are people who are coming here where in their culture it is perfectly acceptable to do female circumcision on a 14-year-old girl. Like, these are cultural differences that unless you come here like everybody else's ancestors did and want to assimilate and be part of America.
That word,
these
that
are
A
cultural
word.
differences.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It's such an evil word these days.
Yes.
But it's true. And, these are cultural norms that are not compatible with Western democracy or culture at all.
Yes. Agreed. David, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you have a quick shift tonight, and I hope you make a lot of tips.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye. Happy New Year to you. Yeah, he's right. I mean, the assimilation thing is really what it's all about. Dennis Ferrier on Fox 17. I don't think I know who that is. I will take a look and perhaps follow him.
Yeah, he's done some good work.
Okay, that's good. And to answer the question from 6455, I did not say that they were both darkies. I said they were both dorky. The two guys from HHS. If you watch that video, you know exactly what I mean. They look like dorks, but I love them. Bring all of your dorkiness. I am a racist. Bring all your dorkiness and bring whatever it is from the administration, that's lightning bolts. I love it. This is what they say. This is what I voted for. So those two guys did that. They stopped the payments to Minnesota. Now we need them to sort of branch out and find other places. There was another one. There was a woman that, I don't know if you saw this one. There was a woman that went to her son's daycare center. So she wanted to give like a tour of her when she goes into the daycare center, what it's like. So that when, you're watching those videos with Nick Shirley and nobody's even answering the door, or they answer the door and they crack it a little bit and tell you no and go away. That's not the way it is. There's no cars in the parking lot. I mean, it's really insane. So this woman goes to her daycare center and she takes her phone with her and she does sort of a Nick Shirley type of investigation. She walks in the front doors where she gets buzzed in. She takes it from there. Listen to this.
So let me take you guys, for all the people in Minnesota that are not aware. I'm at my son's school right now. Let's walk in. All right, so I'm going to go to this front door right here, right? For all the people that are like, we wouldn't just let randoms in. Well, you can't just let randoms in because it's locked, right?
So she says you can't get right into the front door. They had to beep her in.
So what am I going to do? I'm going to ring this bell right here. They're going to let me in. You see how that works? They see me. Hi, guys. All right, just in case nobody. And also, if I need a brochure for the daycare, nobody handed Nick Shirley a brochure. True. Hey, how are you guys? Hey. Yeah, nobody handed Nick Shirley a brochure. Hello.
Fact check true.
Oh, how are you? Thank you. How was he today? It was good. Okay, good. Good. Oh, I didn't even notice. If I want a business card, I can get a business card too, guys. See how that works? I walk out, the door automatically locks. Also, sorry guys, if I need something, there's something right here that I could get. You feel me? So this is what I'm telling you. Why did none of those daycare owners offer Nick Shirley? Come on, babe. You ready? Why didn't anybody say bye, boys? Offer Nick Shirley a brochure. Say bye to your friends. Bye. It's cold, y'all. His hands are gonna be frozen. That's all I'm saying, y'all. Nick Shirley's not crazy. It's simple. They could have handed him a brochure.
They could have handed him a brochure. They could have. Now, also, that was an audio feature. What'd you hear when she was inside that daycare center and even outside? You heard kids. You heard kids talking to each other and laughing. And I mean, there were a bunch of kids. Why? Because it's a legit business. And there's people there that, they take their kids to the daycare center that she just went to pick her son up from. Very, very different experience than Nick Shirley was finding. I don't care what CNN says and how they try to disgrace everything that Nick Shirley is doing, because that's all they're doing. We're not crazy. It's just like when we saw Joe Biden walking into the woods or, tripping over the steps that weren't there.
Falling up the stairs.
Falling up the stairs. Yeah. I mean, we were watching things happening in real time, and the media was trying to tell us that we're crazy. It wasn't them. It wasn't him. We're crazy. It's the same concept that they're doing with this Nick Shirley investigation. And it's wonderful to watch the media trip over themselves in order to try to disclaim it. We've got more of it. In fact, there's a woman who was on social media talking about what she's seeing as well. I've got another one of those videos for you. That's coming up here in just a couple of minutes. And you still, please do call, text 615-737-9986. Love to hear from you. Of course, I want to know what you're doing tonight for New Year's, because, I'm going to be asleep on the couch by probably around 8:30. Tell me something that you're doing that's outrageous. I would love to hear more of it. It's coming up here right now. It is 12:50.
Tennessee Highway Patrol has a bit of good news heading into the new year, and we all hope it'll get even better. Details at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, we do hope it'll get better, for sure. But right now, TDOT has that, they're on our holiday. They don't have any construction zones set up, so things are really good. Driving in here today was a pleasure, actually. It wasn't bad at all. Hey,
if only it could be that way every day.
All the time, I know, right? We'd have to build like highway on top of highway, like stack highways up to make the traffic any better around here. I'm convinced. I have been called many things in my lifetime, but I have never been called a dorkist. But now apparently I am a dorkist because I called those two guys from HHS dorks. And they are, but they're cute dorks.
Well, Brother Bilal, looks like we have our new ism. Remember? Me and Chad were talking. We needed a new ism.
Yeah, Chad said we were going to come up with a new one.
Well, there you go. See, I've left Chad a present. He's got dorkists. There you go. I'm especially, I feel very happy about knowing other dorkists. So there is a woman who also was out and noticed the fraud as well. And she was out on social media as well with hers.
I'm telling you right now, Kamala knew what she was doing when she picked Tim Walz as VP. She knew. Running for president wasn't about running for president for them. It was about expanding their operation.
Oh, what do you think about that? Expanding their operation. I think
the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, changed the state flag to ironically resemble the Somali flag. And now, people in other blue states are investigating their own child care centers and their own adult care centers and seeing the same pattern. The fraud is going to be so extensive, so widespread, nationwide, they're not going to have the resources to shut it down. They're going to have to call in the military.
She was eating her lunch while she was doing that video. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's going to end up being so massive. There was somebody on the super text line that said the real question is why is it that the federal government is funding these daycare centers anyway? Why? Why can't daycare centers operate with people paying them, a fee to watch their children and have that be enough? It seems like that's a scam in and of itself. And I kind of agree with that. Do they pay more if you're a Somali-based business? Or, how about if you're an American? How about if you're just, the regular Joe and you have a daycare center? Do you get that same kind of service from the federal government? I don't know. There was more too. Minnesota, and I think I heard Chris doing something on this too, because in Minnesota, now this is about polling, going to a polling place and voting. In Minnesota, a single voter can walk into a polling place and vouch for up to 8 other people who have come to the voting center and they just don't have ID. That's crazy in and of itself. And the voucher, all they have to do is sign an oath that confirms that they know that other person lives in the precinct that they're voting for and is permitted to cast a ballot. They don't need any documentation. They can just vouch for people. So Scott Pressler, and you know who he is, he was out there talking about this, the conservative activist. This is the first activist that I've actually kind of liked. And he's investigating voter fraud in Minnesota, and he spoke to Fox News. Now, I'm going to play some of that audio for you when we come back here. But, there are so many other states that have these crazy laws about voting that make it so easy for people to cheat. And there's so much cheating going on. So we'll play some Scott Pressler for you when we come back. And we'll talk about what other states there are that just make it way too easy to cheat. It's coming up here in the Chad Benson Show. I'm Joan Jones sitting in, and it is 1 o'clock.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And a bit of good news for those of you heading out tonight to ring in the new year here in downtown Nashville. It's going to stay above freezing, but it's still going to be chilly. We've got the details coming up in the full forecast in 5 minutes. Tennessee Highway Patrol says traffic deaths fell sharply in 2025. Fatalities dropping to 1,045 statewide, a big improvement from 1,194 in 24. Urban areas leading the way. Some rural regions saw increases like Jackson. Troopers say they plan to target seatbelt use, impaired driving, motorcycle safety in 2026. By the way, Nashville area saw 13 fewer traffic fatalities in 2025 for a total of 255. A Tennessee hospital tightening visitor rules amid a surge in respiratory illnesses. Cookeville Regional Medical Center is restricting visitors as it says flu and COVID is surging. No one under 16 allowed there. Cases of respiratory illness have climbed sharply in recent weeks. The hospital says these steps are critical to keep patients safe. Meanwhile, ABC News medical contributor and emergency physician Dr. Darian Sutton outlines the trends experts have noticed with these recent cases.
The bulk of these cases, nearly 90%, is associated with that variant, subclade K, which is a variant of the flu. It's flu A typically when you get tested for it. Unfortunately, it seems as though that's what's driving these numbers. Nearly half of these cases are in children. The majority of the patients that we're treating in the emergency room are children suffering from the symptoms of this infection.
By the way, Kentucky has reported its first pediatric flu death of the season. A big change is coming for those who procrastinate paying their bills by mail. Elizabeth Schultze explains.
The U.S. Postal Service is adjusting the rules around when letters are postmarked. So typically, when you send an envelope, the postmark date is stamped as the same date you drop it in your mailbox or at the post office. Well, now that postmark date could be several days later when an envelope is actually processed at the mail facility. So if you're up against a deadline on a bill, you probably want to send it maybe even a week earlier or risk paying a late fee.
Well, it's already 2026 in other parts of the world. Celebrations in New Delhi, India. By the way, here in this country, the final unemployment numbers for 2025 are in. They show a steady hold for the country's job picture. Perry Russum explains.
199,000 Americans applying last week, down 16,000 from the previous week. It's a sign layoffs remained low despite a weakening job market. Opening bell ringing this morning for the final time in 2025, capping off a solid run for the stock market. The S&P 500 is up 17% this year. It tracks most Americans' retirement accounts. Fidelity says the typical 401k balance is up nearly $25,000.
Turning to sports, Vandy is trailing Iowa in the ReliaQuest Bowl 14-7 at halftime. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Chad Benson Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There it goes, ripping my ears out again. Are you thunderstruck? It's 106 here.
There's no such thing as AC/DC being too loud ever.
Really? Okay. But it is. But it is.
But it's not.
Okay. All right. Well, see, because I'm just sitting in, I guess, I can just deal with it for a day, couple of hours. It's 106, 107 here.
You'll
on
get used
Super
to
Talk
it, Sister
99.7.
Joan.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't.
You'll get used to getting thunderstruck.
Yeah.
And just be glad the intro isn't Slayer.
So what I really need to do is remember to pot down the audio into my ear before it begins so that it doesn't I feel like I could just shoot up to the ceiling when it happens. Woo!
You only have to put up with it one more time.
Yeah. Oh, is that it? Okay. There you go. Yeah. All right. So guys, you're going to love this. There's a guy he's actually a manager at one of the daycare centers there in Minneapolis. And the owner apparently realizes that they're going to have to turn over some paperwork soon. And they're going to have to show bank records and things like that, like what's really happening in your daycare center. So he held a press conference and everybody is standing behind him with placards and they're nodding as he's talking. Listen to how this goes.
Yesterday morning, I was called by the owner because unfortunately someone came in to our daycare. We looked and saw what happened, and we saw that the suspect came in from the back, broke in from...
He's reading from a piece of paper, calling him a suspect. Don't tell me this wasn't pre-written before this guy got up there to before the cameras.
The back kitchen, and he also destroyed the wall to come in. As we walked around the daycare, we saw that our office doors was broken into as well.
Oh, here we go. The office door was broken into. What could possibly happen next?
We saw that, unfortunately, there was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone.
Oh my gosh, all the documentation, all the stuff that the state is going to ask for is gone. And of course, whoever comes in, that's the first thing they're going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for documentation.
There were also checkbooks that were ripped from our check papers that were ripped from our book.
Yeah, so of course now, and the check papers that were ripped are all the receipt side of the checks. So you just can't prove anymore that people, that they're paying their bills.
This is devastating news.
It's devastating.
And we don't know why this is targeting our Somali community.
Oh, they're targeting the Somali community. Folks, it's all about being Somali.
As one video made by a specific individual made this all happen.
It made it all happen.
We've been receiving hateful messages through our voice notes threatening us.
They're victims, They're victims.
So the past couple of days, including one that happened yesterday morning after the break-in. This is frightening and exhausting because this is happening to us Somali communities as Somali Americans.
And so when he says that, he puts his hand up to his chest like it's happening to us Somalis. I wonder if he realizes that at some point he's going to have to show the videos that he's talking about to the police. And the police are going to realize, this is a scam. This really didn't happen. And if it did, it was just his brother dressed up as a suspect who broke into the building. Okay, so let's get back to what Scott Pressler has also uncovered about the voters, people going into the polling places, and all they really have to do is say, hey, I can vouch for that guy. I've seen him in the neighborhood. I know he should be voting right here. I know he should.
500,000 voters, or nearly 19% of all voters in Minnesota, registered on Election Day. What? And did you know that former Senator Al Franken was elected by 312 votes? So I'm not alleging anything on the program, but what I am saying is that this vouching system, which clearly opens the door for potential fraud, could swing statewide elections. And when you find out that Al Franken was the 60th vote for the Affordable Care Act,
the one that's ending, the subsidies are ending for today,
these voter fraud insecurities could open the door to very real consequences. And I have breaking news that I have filed an email with the Minnesota Secretary of State, and I have submitted a data practices request to get the data of registrants, of people that vouched, and how many of those 500,000 voters actually came about because of vouching. And that's breaking news.
Yes. So he's going to be looking into it. I have to say, I don't know how far he's going to get because he's asking the state for their information. He's asking the state to go ahead and let him rummage through their voter rolls and try to piece things together. I don't think it's going to happen. In Alabama, voters without a photo ID can vote if 2 election officials sign an affidavit that attests that that voter is eligible and is on a poll list. In Alaska, an election official can waive the ID requirement and just say, yeah, you don't need to do that if they personally know the voter's identity. So anyone can go up to an election official and say, hi, Joe. And Joe can nod and say, oh, yeah, I know him. And there's not a limit. Like at least in Minnesota, there's a limit of just 8. That's crazy. In Iowa, voters without an ID can have another registered voter in the same precinct attest to their identity and their residency via a written oath. Kind of the same thing as is happening in Minnesota. In Kentucky, our neighbors to the north, if an election officer is a personal acquaintance, they can sign an attestation form to verify that the voter is someone they know. New Hampshire, an election official or a moderator, whatever that is, can review and verify a voter's ID if they lack a valid photo ID. I thought that the people who don't have an ID, and they keep saying that, it's black people just can't get an ID. I thought they had no way to vote. Apparently, in all these places, they can just walk in without a voter ID and just vote. North Dakota, for absentee voting, and a tester, which is another qualified elector, can sign the application providing their own ID details. So somebody can walk in and another person can say, I got this, and just sign for them. In West Virginia, voters without an ID can be accompanied by an adult they've known for at least 6 months. How do you prove that? Who signs a sworn statement verifying their identity? Alternatively, a poll worker who has known them for at least 6 months can allow voting without an ID. That was in West Virginia. I mean, the fraud in voting can be rampant and unbelievable, but it's because these laws exist. Why don't we have laws that are like countrywide? You can only vote with an ID between, 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on the day of voting. Can we get back to that? I mean, all the fraud, it's insane. Now the fraud findings in these daycare centers and in these places, these healthcare centers, and I'm using hand quotes, the healthcare centers, it's spreading out. Other people are catching on to it. In Columbus, Ohio, there's a journalist, an independent journalist like those, kind of like Nick is doing it. His name is Thomas Hearn, and he was out in Columbus, Ohio, knocking on doors as well.
We are here at the Bonatti Child Care 2 LLC on Cleveland Ave in Columbus, Ohio at 5 p.m. On a weekday. It says that they are open from 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday.
Pretty loud road noise there.
And, it's 5 p.m. right now, and we'll knock on the door and see if anyone's actually here.
5 p.m., you'd think everybody's picking up their kids, right?
Don't hear anything, no cars, and it's 5 p.m., so there would be, you would think, lots of pickups going on if this were actually a active childcare center. There is a camera right there. There's someone looking through now the corner, so she just popped through. I don't know if she's going to come out or not.
So somebody looks out the blinds.
Does not appear to be an actual daycare center, though, so should be some investigations going into this soon, hopefully. Hey, man, is this a child care center?
Oh, so this is a guy approaches his car, and the guy that approaches his car is obviously a Somali man. He comes from around the back of the building, and the first thing he does is he holds his camera up so that he can film this Thomas Hearn as he's asking questions.
Hey, is this a child care center?
Why are you recording?
I'm asking a question. Is this a child care center?
Why are you recording?
Is this a child care center?
No.
It's not.
Stop recording.
It's not a child. Why can't I record?
Stop recording. You're resisting. Why you?
You are resisting. You are What? You are resisting? What's he talking about?
Recording.
Because I'm curious if this is a child care center.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ohio.
No. Who's into you?
Me. I'm an independent person. I own my own company.
So you are a YouTuber. So you need the social media.
You are a YouTuber. You're on social media.
I represent myself.
We have just reported you to the police, okay?
Okay, that's fine. I'm not breaking any laws.
You are resisting.
I'm not.
You're resisting.
I'm just asking, is this a child care center?
I know who you are.
Okay, is this a child care center?
You are a terrorist.
You are a terrorist. You are a terrorist.
You say I'm a terrorist?
You are resisting. I know who you are. Okay.
You said I'm... I guess? Is that what you just said? Are there any kids in there? Is this an actual child care center? Okay. Have a good one.
He called him effing gay. That's where the gaps in that audio was. That poor guy. I mean, all he did was knock on a door. And apparently, there are a lot of people who are doing that right now because of what Nick has brought to the table. Nancy in the borough. Hiya, Nancy. What are you doing tonight for New Year's Eve? We'll go light first, and then you can tell me what you called for.
Well, I'm actually leaving this afternoon to go meet friends close to Chattanooga.
Oh, wow. That sounds cool. What's happening in Chattanooga?
Well, it's not in Chattanooga. It's actually in Monteagle.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
So you're going to go party in Monteagle. I love it. Wait, Monteagle, isn't that the mountain?
Yes.
Yes. Ooh, yeah. That's a great place.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so tell me what you're calling for, Nancy.
Okay. I don't want people to forget, and this has been several years ago, the issues with all the Somalis in Minnesota, that the hotels were actually full of people. They were being given money, and over 600 Social Security numbers were given out.
Yes. Social Security numbers. They were getting vouchers for food and housing.
And cash, yes. I just didn't want people to forget that. But what my message is to the people in Middle Tennessee is we like people that are coming here to obey our laws and to be civil. And one thing that in particular that really bothers me is that there have been a tremendous amount of people that have moved to Nashville. And now we have a Democratic mayor. The handwriting is on the wall, people. We need to stop allowing people to move here and change our way of life and our culture.
Man, I think you've got a lot of people nodding their heads out there. You're speaking the truth, Nancy.
Well, like you said, I live in Murfreesboro, and a lot of people have started moving here. And another issue that I had, and I heard it yesterday, I don't remember whose show it was on, but the pricing of houses and that most people are renting. We have just recently been made aware that there is a 300-unit subdivision being built just down the road from me, and it's all rental. And when you go in these homes, which I have done, they are actually set up for multifamily situation.
Oh, so like multiple families can live within one unit?
Absolutely. Like there'll be 3 or 4 bedrooms, and each one will have their own bath. There is a common area for the kitchen. And I will say right now the area looks okay, But this has been a pretty devastating thing to our community because when you add that many cars just to a small area,
yes,
we're not able to handle all of that.
I think that they don't realize that they plan for the housing and then the infrastructure comes next. Like, why didn't they plan the infrastructure first? You got to get the roads in. You got to have the sewage and the piping and all kinds of stuff first. And then you build the housing.
I do hold some of our county people accountable for this, but it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
If they allowed this to happen.
I'm so sorry. And I hear you. I mean, that's not something that you want in your neighborhood. Nancy, thanks for calling in. And I hope you have a blast and be careful going down to Mont Eagle, but have a terrific New Year.
Thank you, Joan.
All right. Take care and Happy New Year to her. Okay. So coming up, there's also one of these new, independent journalists that took to the streets of Philadelphia. And I've got that coming for you up here next. It's 1:22.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a biblical perspective.
All right, drivers, we've got a crash blocking the left 2 lanes of 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. Also, flu and COVID spikes, prompting at least one Tennessee hospital to restrict visitors. We'll tell you about that story and more coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, man, that flu. Going to get you. Well, part of the reason that the flu is spiking so badly is because, once again, they have a formulation for the vaccination that doesn't match what's happening, what's flying around in the air and giving everyone the flu. I mean, it's too hard for them to nail down, and they keep on telling everybody, oh, go get your flu shot. It doesn't match. And I feel like, Ken, don't you feel like this? Like every year we're saying, yeah, it doesn't match this year again.
Well, yeah, and again, the vaccine doesn't keep you from getting the flu. It just tamps it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, apparently this strain, they did not expect this strain. And so the vaccine that was rolled out, they say will give you a little bit of help. But this strain does not match the vaccine.
It's like whack-a-mole every year. Oh, we got this one. No, it's over here. Yeah. All right, Ken, thanks. Ken's coming up in just a couple of minutes. So we have another guy. His name is Frank Scales. He's an Instagrammer, so you're not going to find this guy on X, but you will find him on Instagram, and his site is called Surge Philly. He's another one of these independent journalists that's out there doing God's work and showing us what's going on. Here he is.
The Maternity Care Coalition is a nonprofit that got $23 million from the government to run daycares like this. So it is 2 p.m. This place is supposed to be open. It closes at around 4:30. We're going to try and buzz one more time to see if anybody opens up. Looking for childcare. Okay, so nobody's going to open. Okay, another entrance. Gonna knock again. Again, it's 2 p.m., so within operating hours, this place should be open. Little Frank needs childcare. Hello, childcare. Okay, so they didn't answer, so we're gonna call the number on their website, and let's see if they answer.
Listen to this.
Thank you for calling Maternity Care Coalition. We're closed for the Independence Day holiday.
It's a little bit cold for Independence Day.
Yeah, it's Independence Day. We're closed for the Independence Day holiday. Here he is out there shivering because it's the end of December and it's Philadelphia and it's cold out there.
Interesting.
Yeah, right? So these guys are popping up all over the place. And I mean, don't you just love to see it? I mean, there's people out there doing this work and trying to get to the bottom of what's going on in these obviously false places. Nick Shirley just did another podcast, the PBD podcast. Never heard of this one, but apparently it's popular. And so he just did another podcast. I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste of it here, and then we'll play more after the break. But again, going off the Josh Gerstein threat that came earlier today. No, I'm sorry. That came yesterday, the Josh Gerstein threat, when he said, and he's the Politico reporter, and Politico should be firing his butt or should have been fired already yesterday. Josh Gerstein tweeted out, at some point, the amateur effort to knock on doors of home daycares intersects with robust stand your ground laws. So obviously, he's gunning for this guy.
Have you gotten any threats, like actual death threats?
Yeah, well, in person and also.
Can you tell me
online.
about that? Like, are they messaging you saying, we're going to get you? What are they saying to you?
Yeah, like they're saying, oh, like, kirked. You're going to be kirked.
You're going to be kirked. They're telling Nick Shirley he's going to be kirked because he's out there exposing fraud. He's out there trying to save your tax dollars. And they're telling him he's going to be kirked. It's amazing to me that this is the reception. You'd think that he'd be thanked by tons of people for doing what he's doing. I've got more of that interview that he did with this PBD podcast coming up right after the news. It's 1:30 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, drivers got a crash. It is blocking the left 2 lanes of 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. And if you're going to be heading out tonight to ring in the new year, I just want you to know it's going to stay above freezing in Nashville, but it's still going to be chilly. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. We've also got reports of a surging number of flu cases here in the U.S. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
Flu cases skyrocketing. New data shows the number of flu-related illnesses nationwide jumped by nearly 3 million since the CDC's previous report earlier this month, with more than 30,000 new hospitalizations and 1,200 additional deaths. Some hospitals are overwhelmed.
Now, here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Center is asking for help to fight flu and COVID. They say visitors under 16, these are visitors under 16, are not allowed, and anyone with any type of respiratory illness symptom should stay home. The hospital says it's seen a big jump in respiratory illness. Officials say these precautions protect patients and the community. Well, it's already 2026 in other parts of the world. A crowd of revelers at Sydney Harbor, among the first in the world to ring in the new year amidst fabulous fireworks displays, cheers from the crowd there in Australia. Here in this country, mortgages are going down as we head into 2026, but other costs still elevated. Here's ABC's Perry Russell.
If you're taking out a $400,000 home loan, your monthly payment is now $2,289 versus $2,473 at the start of the year. Gas prices have gone down, but prices have gone up for gas utilities, daycare rent, restaurants, and groceries. Most analysts expect the impact of tariffs on higher prices will fade toward the middle of next year.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Welcome back to the Chad Benson Show here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Joan Jones sitting in for today. It's 1:36 here, and so we were on that PBD broadcast, the podcast, with Nick Shirley talking about how his life has been endangered by doing the work that he's doing. And I got to say, listening to him is one thing, but when you're looking at him, honestly, you can see in his eyes that I don't know if he's frightened or if it's just the reality has hit for him, that I guess he thought that there'd be a more grateful people out there for doing what he's doing, but there's not. What he's being met with is death threats. So we'll start it back in the beginning again, this PBD broadcast with Nick Shirley.
Have you gotten any threats, like actual death threats?
Yeah, well, in person and also.
Can you tell me about that? Like, are they messaging you saying, we're going to get you? What are they saying to you?
Yeah, like they're saying, oh, like, kirked. You're going to be kirked.
You're going to be kirked. That's what they're saying to you.
Yeah, like you're the next, you'll be the next Kirk. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Because it's not even, like, I hate what's happening right now. Like, I feel bad for my family, honestly, because it's like, yeah, like, we didn't do anything wrong.
So it's not just him. And he's going to start in here to what's been happening to his family ever since he started this quest to find out what's going on with tax dollars at Somali daycare centers that aren't really existing.
And yet you guys are coming after me like I'm some sort of villain, right? So I'm like, my little sister's getting phone calls. I'm like, why are you guys doing this?
Your little sister's getting phone calls?
Yeah, from like the news. I'm like, okay, don't talk to my family. I mean, some news in India, they doxed my home, they doxed my dad, it was really weird. I haven't even told my dad about that because I just don't want to even bother him about it.
Well, Dad, you know now.
But like they put it, like it's just like, are you guys kidding me? Like, why are you guys coming after somebody for going against fraud? Like, I didn't make this a right or left issue. I just showed you guys that fraud was happening, and now you guys are coming after me. You're saying, I'll be the next Kirk. You're literally stopping at intersections and coming after me and trying to.
Poor guy can't even drive in his car. He's being stopped at intersections and recognized.
Attack me? Like, what? Why are you so evil? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, what? Why are you defending fraud? Do you like money being stolen? No. Then what are you doing? You're a racist. No, I'm not a racist. I'm just telling you what the facts are.
So, isn't that how it always goes? I mean, if you call people out, especially those on the left, for the things that are happening, for the things that are being done clearly in broad daylight before everyone's eyes, you're a racist. You're a racist. It's the first thing that is always declared when something like this happens.
You guys are stealing money from the people that are working hard here inside the United States. I was literally talking to a black man, and then the Somali man comes out, and he's also black, so I can't understand what they're thinking, calling me a racist. I'm having a great conversation with a black man, and then another black man comes up, and he's Somali descent, and he comes and attacks me for being a racist. I'm like, no.
And he's having a conversation. So, this does go back to Charlie Kirk. He's having a conversation. He's having a conversation with a black guy. Maybe the black guy wasn't in agreement with him. Maybe he was. But he's having a conversation, which is what we should all be doing. But instead, he gets bullied.
No, I'm not a racist. It's so stupid. And that's why the fraud has been able to happen for so long, because people like Tim Walz are afraid to be called racist. Afraid to be called racist. And me and my generation, we're over it. Like, we don't care.
Oh, I love that, buddy.
Like, we do not care. Call us a racist. I do not care, because I am not a racist. We're just seeing that prices of homes are so expensive. I don't even have a friend that can afford a home. People aren't getting married because of how expensive things are. And we're paying so much money in taxes. Most kids are, I'm lucky because I didn't go to college, but most kids are starting their life off behind the starting line. They're thousands of dollars in the debt. And so, yes, we're upset because you guys are stealing millions of dollars and getting rich, and then you're bragging about the white man working on TikTok. Who's actually the racist? You're the racist.
Oh, yeah. How about that truth? How about that truth? Let's see if we can back it up here a little bit.
Things are. And we're paying so much money in taxes. Most kids are, I'm lucky because I didn't go to college, but most kids are starting their life off behind the starting line. They're thousands of dollars in the debt. And so, yes, we're upset because you guys are stealing millions of dollars.
Yes.
And getting rich, and then you're bragging about the white man working on TikTok. Who's actually the racist? You're the racist. You're the one saying the white man. You work, white woman. You work, white man. We're sick of it. Nobody cares. Like, stop committing fraud. If you're going to be here, be happy to be here and work hard like we're working hard.
Yeah.
Whether you're black, Mexican, Asian, white, just go and work. And don't start playing this victim card and start trying to make things political about money, for instance, or don't get mad at people for making money. Like, that's why America is the greatest country in the world, is because of capitalism. And we had 250 years to do it. All these other countries had thousands of years to do it, but they didn't do it. That's why we have to protect what's ours.
I'm so grateful for him. And that's what he's doing. He's doing what politicians refuse to do. He's protecting what it is that we take home a paycheck. The government's already taken their share, and he's helping to protect that. Nick Shirley, man, he should be president or something. There was another one. I'm not going to do that one yet. Okay, so there was another fraud that's been uncovered recently, and this one has to do with the housing and urban development. And HUD just found out that there was $5 billion in fraudulent payments in 2024 alone under Joe Biden. The payment error of over 11%. So this is from Fox News, just reported the $5.2 billion to inactive accounts. Oh, my goodness. $77 million to deceased tenants. $150 million to non-existent Social Security numbers. Wonder where they got them. $288 million to excessively high rent. We need a DOGE for housing. It's unacceptable. The HUD secretary says, his name is Scott Turner. I'm sure you've seen him talking recently. HUD will continue to investigate the shocking results. Will take appropriate action to hold bad actors accountable. Additionally, the department is advancing efforts made under President Trump's first administration to strengthen program integrity and to ensure that taxpayer-funded assistance serves vulnerable communities that it was intended for. Like, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. That's more of our tax dollars that we continue to pay. We shell it out, we shell it out, we shell it out. And there's always somebody on the other side willing to take it in and run and they don't deserve it. I don't understand why Nick is getting all these death threats when we should be boosting him. And hopefully the poor guy is surrounded by people who are protecting him. Here's another one. And you know what? I didn't go ahead and listen to this first. So, Belle, I think you need to be on the dump button for the just in cases here. Another case of citizen journalism. This is CBS found that there were 4 children. Okay, so CBS accidentally proved that a Somali daycare is actually committing fraud. They were trying to disprove Nick Shirley, which is something that CNN has also been trying to do. And instead, they found out that there were only 4 children there. Taxpayers were paying for 40 children to be in this location. So here you go. This is also from Nick's order.
Is this daycare committing fraud?
No, we're not committing fraud.
Hassan showed us security footage from the same day Shirley was here. According to the timestamps in the videos, this woman takes a young child into the center at around 9 a.m. that day, about 3 hours before Shirley arrives at the door closer to the street. Within the hour after Shirley leaves, a woman arrives at the other door with a stroller. A larger family heads inside a few hours later.
Is this daycare committing fraud?
No, we're not committing fraud.
Hassan showed us security.
So they're doing in the front door and out the back door. That's unbelievable. And so CBS just proved that Nick Shirley is telling the truth. That's crazy. So there's just so much more that we're going to uncover. I think this is going to be spread far and wide, and we're going to find out that there's so much more of it than we even know of right now. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to be, there may be other things that I'm able to find, because as the day goes on, there's more videos that get released. But I'll keep on top of that. We'll keep on bringing some of it to you. On the lighter side, we're all thinking about tonight, what we're going to be doing for New Year's Eve. But tomorrow is New Year's Day, and we're going to be sitting around holding our bellies, just eating, and more of the Christmas cookies that are left over. There's something on
I'll
TV.
do some day drinking.
You're going to do some day drinking. I can always count on you, Belle, to come up with something really, creative to do tomorrow. Are you going to be day drinking over there, Mr. Ken?
I'll be watching football.
Oh,
and
okay.
probably doing a little day drinking.
So what's on tomorrow? What football game is on tomorrow?
Let's see here. Tomorrow, where are we at here? It's going to take me a minute because I've got to scroll through.
And there's a game that's being played locally today, right?
Yeah, so tomorrow will be the playoff games.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That'll be the college football playoff games.
I
so
see.
You've got Georgia and Ole Miss, Ohio State and Oregon, I believe, and then Indiana and Alabama will be playing. There's one tonight. Now, the game that's being played right now is Vanderbilt and Iowa. And Vandy was trailing 24-10. Now they are trailing 30-17.
Oh, ouch.
With 13:35 to go in the fourth quarter.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. So, and I was incorrect. It's Miami that will be playing Ohio State in today's only college football playoff game.
Gotcha.
But then you have 3 other playoff football games tomorrow. That includes Georgia and Ole Miss out of the SEC. And, boy, this is taking a long time to scroll down to get to where these are.
See, I asked because I know you guys talk football.
Football!
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be Oregon and Texas Tech in the Capital One Orange Bowl.
Okay.
Alabama, the Crimson Tide, against Indiana in the Rose Bowl. And Ole Miss and Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl.
That sounds cool. You're Oklahoma. You're an Oklahoma guy, right?
Yep, and we were eliminated by the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well.
So does that mean that you now root for the Crimson Tide because they were that good that they beat your team, or do you hate them enough that you would do anything to, root for the other team?
I want the Crimson Tide to go all the way.
Okay. That's good.
And, yeah, because then I'm validated. Then I'm saying, see, they beat everybody else, too.
I went to William Patterson University in northern New Jersey. There is no football team. I don't have any skin in the game for any of these teams.
Well, in Oklahoma, the Sooners for a long time were about the only thing they had going there. We have no pro team in Oklahoma, except now we have an NBA team that actually won the NBA title last year and is still doing good.
Yeah.
You got the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They've got a good following, but the Sooners they were the main show there in Oklahoma, and really still are when it comes to football.
Cool. Well, maybe I'll watch some football just because it's on and it's the thing to do on New Year's Day.
Yeah. Well, you're an Eagles fan.
I am. Are they playing
Does
tomorrow?
your husband watch football?
You know what? We used to watch a lot of football when they started the kneeling crap and Colin Kaepernick and all of that. We started backing away from it, and then they, the rainbows in the end zone and on the helmets, and we were like, we're done. Can't they just play football and beat each other up? That's why I really like hockey. Hockey's fun. Yeah.
Well, and your Eagles are the Super Bowl champs.
Yes, they are.
Super Bowl champs.
They are. So we'll see if they can do it again. Although they're not quite as sharp as they used to be.
Yeah,
I don't think.
They were able to hold off Buffalo the other night. Boy, Buffalo made a great comeback.
But they did make a good cut. No, I watched that game.
Went for 2.
Yeah, it was touch and go there for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, there is something else that's on tomorrow that you may want to watch. It may actually, I'm not going to tell you until after we come back, but it's something that may actually have you watching CNN. I know nobody watches CNN, but tomorrow you might do it because there's something interesting on. It's coming up here right after we take this break. It's 1:51 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, drivers, still got the left 2 lanes blocked by a crash, 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. Flu-like illness surging across the U.S. Hear what one hospital here in Tennessee is asking of its community. These stories and more coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, here we are. It's 1:56 on the Chad Benson Show, and I'm Joan Jones sitting in today. One thing that may actually have you watching CNN tomorrow is this documentary that they're airing on Chevy Chase. It'll air, I'm not sure what time it's actually on. It's called I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not. Yeah, but this is not going to be a good it's not going to make him look good. Now, from the reviews that I've read, it says that it features him in the way he actually was, as being a combative person who got along with absolutely nobody on the sets. He used offensive language. He clashed with his colleagues on the set. He was a pariah. They didn't want him on the set. Daily Mail said that he sits for the interviews, but the interviews are kind of uncomfortable to watch, too. I didn't know this. I mean, I think that there were a lot of people that were cocaine addicts in the 1970s, but he was, which made him just that much more unlikable. And I didn't realize this, but he wasn't invited to the 50th anniversary show for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, they, him or Dan Aykroyd.
Wow.
Which I don't understand the Dan Aykroyd.
No, he seems like a really likable guy. Probably just the opposite of Chevy Chase. But Chevy Chase's real name is Cornelius. I think that is hysterical. Cornelius. Who names their kid that? Anyway, you may want to watch that tomorrow. It would fill up a good couple of minutes of your time, and it would actually have you watching CNN like maybe you haven't done in the longest time. Today, The Federalist is out with its biggest media scandals, the media hoaxes of 2025. I just love this list. So they've got a whole list of them. Elon the fascist is their first one. So it didn't take long, they said, after President Trump was sworn into office for them to start picking up right where they left off after his first term. And of course, they were every time. Do you remember when Elon held up his hand and he was like saying thank you to everyone? And they said, oh, there it is. There's the Nazi salute.
Nazi.
Yeah, he's a Nazi. That was just insane.
African-American Nazi.
Right. Anti-Hegseth campaign. So you could see this comment. I mean, the way they went after Pete Hegseth was insane. The things that they said about him, how they confronted him, the endless stories about he was boozing it up. And we knew way too much about his personal life, which, you know, he's married now and he loves his wife. And we all have things in the past that we don't want to deal with. But they seem to just dredge it all up for him. There were so many more, the endless stories from the left in 2025 that made us all kind of scratch our heads. We've got a couple more of them coming up for you after the top of the hour here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And if you're going to be heading out tonight to ring in the new year, just know it's going to stay above freezing in Nashville. Still going to be chilly, though. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Well, a surging number of flu cases in the U.S. with more than 30,000 new hospitalizations, 1,200 additional deaths. Some hospitals say they're overwhelmed. Here's Dr. Tim Paul. He's with Tanner Health.
We're as full as we can be, actually. So we have quite a bit of boarders, patients that are in untraditional spaces, you know, where we're trying to find safe places to take care of people.
Now, here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Center's restricting visitors as flu and COVID cases rise there, according to the hospital. Children under 16, that is visitors under 16, are not allowed. Anyone with symptoms, they say, you need to stay home. By the way, Kentucky has reported its first pediatric flu death of the season in Kenton County. And officials say there was a major drop in traffic deaths this year in Tennessee. State officials reporting 1,045 fatalities, down from 1,194 in 24. Memphis led the improvement with 90 fewer deaths. Nashville had 13 fewer deaths for a total of 255. The Highway Patrol says seatbelt use and impaired driving remain top concerns heading into the new year. And analysts are preparing the final financial snapshot of 2025. Here's Perry Russum.
The S&P 500 is up 17% this year. It tracks most Americans' retirement accounts. Fidelity says the typical 401k balance is up nearly $25,000. If you're looking to buy a home in 2026, mortgage rates are dropping. The average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage is 6.2%, down from 7% a year ago.
And it's already 2026 in some places around the globe. A fiery fireworks display out of Bangkok, Thailand for the crowd. Here in Middle Tennessee, organizers of tonight's Jack Daniels Nashville's New Year's Eve Big Bash say security is the main focus. At least 500 security guards, fencing, and metal detectors. And you can only use clear bags if you want to take things in with you. By the way, the gates are going to open up for that at 5:30. And if you're one of those people who procrastinates dropping their bills or holiday cards in the mail, you may want to rethink that strategy with the newest U.S. Postal Service rules, says Elizabeth Schulze.
The U.S. Postal Service is adjusting the rules around when letters are postmarked. So typically, when you send an envelope, the postmark date is stamped as the same date you drop it in your mailbox or at the post office. Well, now that postmark date could be several days later. The Postal Service says this is part of a modernization process, that is, it evolves around the reality that there are more packages in the mail than there are letters.
And turning to sports real quick, Vanderbilt has made it a one-possession game. They have pulled within 7 points. It is Iowa leading Vanderbilt in the ReliaQuest Bowl 31-24 with about 11 minutes to go in the game. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I did it again. I forgot to take my earphones out before we started thunderstrucking my ears. Jeez almighty. Okay. So there you go. Hi, it's 2:06 here at Super Talk 99.7 WT. And this is the Chad Benson Show, but I am not Chad Benson. I'm Joan Jones. So you normally hear me in the mornings with Dan Mandis, but I jumped over to the seat today to sit in for Chad while he's out having a good time on this New Year's Eve. There was, we were talking about that Chevy Chase. I used to work in Chevy Chase, Maryland, which is different than Chevy Chase, which is the name of the actor. Crazy. Okay. So another thing about Chevy Chase is that he is on a current TV show. I'm not even sure what it's called, but I read in this article that I was reading about that documentary that's out tomorrow on CNN about him that said that on this new show, they actually had him get into an accident or something and to put him in a wheelchair and he's all wrapped up in gauze or whatever. And he appears on the show this way. And they did that because they didn't want him on the set anymore. They didn't want him talking anymore. They didn't want him doing anything anymore but sitting in a wheelchair, being all wrapped up in gauze because they couldn't take it anymore.
Well, and if he's all wrapped up and you can't see his face, it could be anybody.
It could
and
be.
They could just make him go in and do ADR after the fact.
Yeah. And he'd probably still get paid just as much for doing what he's doing. Yeah. Okay. All right. So back to the list from the Federalist about the media hoaxes of 2025. Now, we know that there were so many of them. The first couple of them were that Elon is a fascist because he touched his chest and saying thank you to everyone and held up his hand. Okay, great. The anti-Hegseth campaign, which was crazy. The one that we were gaslighted on for 4 stinking years was that Joe Biden runs circles around everybody in the White House, right? And the Federalist says it was only after Biden disgracefully exited stage right that media hacks like Jake Tapper felt like it was okay to acknowledge that, yeah, maybe it really wasn't what it appeared to be. Maybe the former president, the soon-to-be former president, really didn't have all his wits about him, like we all knew. The Maryland man, I just love this one, and I have a story about that in the stack here if I can get to it. But the Maryland man, of course, is Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the MS-13 gang member and wife beater who the government brought the case against him. They sent him to El Salvador. That was the only mistake part about that was that they didn't foresee that the judges, the liberal activist judges that should all be out of a job, were going to order the administration to bring him back. So after they brought him back is when they brought this, the newest indictment against him, which was the human smuggling charge from here in Tennessee when he got busted. And so now it's being grossly mishandled by the DOJ, and it looks to me like he's going to get off. But the optics of having a sitting U.S. senator go down there and decide that he's going to have drinks with him and making him out to be this incredibly normal guy. I mean, it was an insane notion. And that was one of the super weird stories of 2025. Whitewashing the Russiagate scandal is another one that the Federalist lists here. It says the damaging years-long Russia collusion hoax would not have been possible without the active participation of America's corrupt media, and they are. So when explosive records on the subject were released this year, it wasn't exactly shocking that these so-called defenders of democracy immediately moved to sweep it all under the rug, and they did. So it was all declassified by the Trump administration. Showing how Obama-era intel leaders included uncorroborated intel in a 2017 intelligence report ordered by Obama that parroted the false claim that Russia aspired for Trump to win the 2016 election. And Hillary Clinton went on and on and on with it. And there are so many outlets that still believe it. They still refer to President Trump as, in the back pocket of Vladimir Putin. Another one was Sydney Sweeney's good genes. Oh, my goodness. We don't even know where Sydney Sweeney stands on the political spectrum. And I think that that's actually a good thing. Just I don't care. I don't care about the politics of musicians, and I wish they wouldn't get up there and talk about it. Just play the dang song. It says here from the Federalist, it's hard to imagine how even The most deranged members of the corporate press could turn an ad for denim jeans into a controversy about racism, and yet they somehow found a way to do it. They did. Sydney Sweeney modeling for American Eagle's summer jeans line. Crazy. The one that probably got under our skin and made us hate the press all that much more, even though I do believe that we don't hate them enough, is the smearing of Charlie Kirk and the way they thoughtlessly went about the correspondents out there talking about him being a racist and every other imaginable word, divisive, polarizing, all those things, how they attempted to frame him and his wife and his family. It was just so grotesque. It was grotesque. I've got some stuff about Charlie Kirk in the stack as well. Excusing leftist violence. That's another one of those hoaxes that the media seem to come up with. Of course, you and I are seeing it. We see that, President Trump's life was almost taken away once and threatened a second time by crazy lunatics. We saw so many of the assassination attempts, the Charlie Kirk assassination, and we're seeing how, and I may get in trouble for this, but it's the transgender. There is something about it. There's something about transgender Antifa. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's something there. There's something to it. And the numbers prove it out. How many times do we have to see it? How about the guy that shot up the kids through the church wall? And that was in Minneapolis. I mean, I watched the video of that guy making his stash on his bed the night before. The insane stuff that came out of his mouth. It's crazy. There is something to it. We all know it. But the left is going to just excuse it because they want to downplay it. They want to keep that trends, whatever, going and going and going. Democrat lawfare, the left acting like they have no idea what anybody's talking about with Democrat lawfare. Oh, my goodness. The whole democracy dies in the darkness thing. The lawfare that's been brought against President Trump and continues to be so. They've just kind of reworked it now so that they've got all the judges in their back pockets making these insane rulings that are letting Kilmar Abrego Garcia off the hook. Continue to set people free like James Comey and Letitia James for technicalities and not for actual court reasons. There was also the war on SCOTUS, and oh my goodness, because SCOTUS affirms the thing that the things that President Trump is doing because they are constitutional, because he's allowed to send people home from the United States that are here illegally. He's allowed to do it, people. But these Democrat-appointed judges continue to make these rulings against him over and over and over again. So now it's not just the lawsuits against him, but it's the lawsuits against everything that he does. And then once a lawsuit is brought, we've got these judges that Boasberg that just can't stop handing the left victory after victory after victory. That's all just the most insane stuff that we have had to deal with over the past year. But it's going to get better. I swear, I think it's going to get better. And why do I think that? Well, because I think that it's true that we're in a really good place for the setup for the next few years. We're going to have to get our act together before the midterms come along, because there's going to be some pain coming our way starting tomorrow, because the Obamacare subsidies are going to be gone and people are going to really be paying. But I do believe that if we can get our act together before the midterm elections come along, we've got a great chance, because we've got a guy who's a vice president that is being seen as really, really presidential. Now, you and I know that. The polls are finally showing it. But there was a time in mid-2024. Now, y'all know who Harry Enton is, right? So he's the guy that works for CNN that lays out all the polling and shows us like where things are going. And he's been very honest, despite who his employers are. He's been very honest. But back in 2024, now this audio isn't the best, so you may have to lean into the radio for this. But back in 2024, he did not see the J.D. Vance thing. He did not see J.D. Vance as being the best candidate in the world to be picked by Donald Trump.
I mean, it's the worst vice presidential pick of my lifetime. And, if we look at the net favorability ratings, we did this segment last week, which basically said he was the first one that had a net negative favorability rating coming out of his party's convention. And what we see is, according to the ABC News Ipsos poll, it's only gotten worse. It's gone from -6 points to now -15 points. Mark my words, this is the worst vice presidential pick probably since 1972 when George McGovern chose Thomas Eagleton as his VP pick. He got replaced. I don't think Vance is going to get replaced, but that's what we're talking about. In no planet did I ever think we'd be talking about VP nominees this late into the cycle after it was picked like 10 days ago.
Bakari? So that was Harry Enton in 2024 after J.D. Vance was chosen by Donald Trump to be his candidate, his running mate. Now, however, Harry Enton is gushing about where J.D. Vance is in the polls.
Top chances to be the 2028 GOP president nominee. The prediction market odds. Look at this. J.D. Vance, 48% chance. Nobody else is even close. Marco Rubio is way back at 12%, and no one else is even above a 5% chance of being the 2028 GOP nominee. J.D. Vance is like Mario Andretti, and Marco Rubio and the rest of the field are like going around in go-karts at this point. I mean, that's really what we're looking at. J.D. Vance is the clear heavy favorite at this time.
Mario Andretti. I just love that. He also noted that the early New Hampshire primary polls, now this is just New Hampshire, but everybody, for whatever reason, aligns their beginning stance with New Hampshire primary polling. J.D. Vance at 51%. Okay. J.D. Vance at 51%. Nikki Haley is the next candidate for the folks in New Hampshire. I don't even know why, but Nikki Haley is next at 9%. He's at 51, Nikki Haley at 9, and then Tulsi Gabbard at 8%. I'm telling you, the man is unstoppable. Harry Enton says that he can only go back to 1980 New Hampshire early primary numbers, and there is no other candidate that has ever had more than a 50% lead going into the primaries. He calls it historic. And so he says that it looks good for J.D. Vance, not only just to be the candidate, but, I mean, he's done so much that he rallies everybody around him. Now, the flip side of that coin is going to be Eric Swalwell, who's running for governor of California. Listen to him talking about some of the things that he would like to do in the state of California once he becomes governor.
You have immense powers as governor of California, and your responsibility is to protect the most vulnerable in the state. So if the president is going to send ICE agents to chase immigrants to the fields where they work, what I'm going to do is make sure that they take off their masks and show their faces, that they show their identification, and if they commit crimes, that they're going to be charged with crimes. If it's falsely imprisoning people, if it's kidnapping, if assault, battery, they're going to be held accountable. I also think if the governor has the ability to issue driver's licenses to people in California, if you're going to wear a mask and not identify yourself, you're not going to be eligible to drive a vehicle in California. There's a lot you can do, but most importantly, you have to go on offense. Otherwise, the most vulnerable in our community will always be on defense.
The man doesn't know what the supremacy clause is in the United States Constitution. He doesn't have the ability to stop ICE or arrest ICE agents. That was, by the way, on MS-13, also known as MS Now.
Not a pretty smart guy to begin with.
I don't think so either. Why does he think he has? And he's always making these ridiculous videos of himself. He is in love with himself. The polling at the moment from Emerson College shows that there are 2 Republicans that are doing so much better than him in the polling for governor. And it's Chad Bianco, the Republican sheriff of Riverside County. He gets support from 13% of the voters. The other guy, the second guy, is Steve Hilton. He's the guy that you may have seen. I guess he's English. He was a former Fox News host. He's the next there. And Eric Swalwell is in 3rd place. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Steve Hilton and Swalwell are tied for 2nd place. Katie Porter that one that's nasty. She had 11%. However, now you've got 31% of that's the largest group of California voters that remains undecided about the race so far. But I don't think Eric Swalwell is going to do well in this race. It doesn't appear anyway, at least early on, that he's going to do well in this race. And you'll all be smiling about that, I know. Oh, I'm late here. We got to go. Coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, why you're not going to like the news that I have to tell you about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A. I've got the news for you coming up here. 2:21 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, drivers, still working this crash. Blocking the left two lanes, going to be 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. Flu cases continue to surge in the U.S. Hear what one Tennessee hospital is doing to try to slow the spread. We'll tell you about it at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
2:25 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones sitting in for Chad Benson today. Got some really nice notes from people on the Super Text line saying very kind things, and thank you all. I love that you checked in, that you had something to say. There were two things though. I had one guy write in and say, I'd rather you read from National Geographic magazine than listen about Chevy Chase. Who cares about that Yahoo? Happy New Year. And
that's kind of the point, though, is that he's so disliked.
Yeah, I thought so, too.
I mean, this is a guy that's been in some of the best comedies of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And you would think if you met him, it'd be like, oh, this guy is so cool.
You would think,
he's a jackass.
Yeah, like seriously.
It's too bad, man, because his character, Clark Griswold.
Oh, yes.
I love Clark Griswold.
He has that way of like making you laugh, like snort out your coffee kind of laugh. Right. He's great. And then I heard from another guy, Jeremiah, who said, I'm having a really hard time listening to this crazy person. I wished him well in the new year. You're not gonna be everybody's, cup of tea, I guess. It's all right. It's all right. There was a little something else about voting. We were just talking about what's going on in the, elections, the upcoming elections. The New York Post had a story out that said the Supreme Court could give Republicans a good shot at keeping the House in 2026. This is all about the Voting Rights Act case that's before the court right now. And y'all should be aware of this because this decision, a lot of times they'll deliver decisions in the spring, but this one may come down at any time. That issue is Section 2 of the legislation, which, by the way, was from 1965. It bans any law or map that results in the denial of the right to vote on account of race or color. So it's resulted in minority congressional districts. So that's kind of confusing. It's resulted in minority congressionral districts. A large amount of the congressional district is minority because they stacked everyone together on purpose in order for them to, because they always count on the minority vote going to the Democrats. Those districts would favor the Democrats, especially in Republican majority states with large black populations. Now, the states that appear to be most vulnerable here would be Alabama, Louisiana, and Tennessee. Why Tennessee, you ask? Well, who is it? Tell me who you think is most vulnerable from the state of Tennessee. If this ruling comes down, whose seat do you think is most vulnerable at this very point? What do you think, Belle? Do you have a guess?
I know because I walked out of the room.
Okay. I'll tell you. Steve Cohen. They're saying Steve Cohen could be booted out of office if the Voting Rights Act case comes down from the Supreme Court on the side of the Republicans. Another person is Benny Thompson from Mississippi, Now,
are you saying he would lose his seat or that the Democrats would lose the seat?
Well, the Democrats would lose the seat. The Democrats would lose it because they've made a district mostly black on purpose in order to get the vote, the Democrat vote. So if the Voting Rights Act case that's before the court right now is struck down, then those districts will be changed.
And that would make Tennessee completely red in both the House and the Senate.
That's correct. Yep, that's correct. Jim Clyburn from South Carolina, another one. He would likely lose his seat because that district, again, would be redistricted, which would make it more fair now for the Republicans. There are so many states that have 0 Republicans at all in Congress. This levels the playing field, and it could be a really good thing for the Republicans coming up. So keep your eye on that. The Voting Rights Act case that's before the Supreme Court right now. But you can bet if the court comes down on the side of the Republicans, man, there's going to be wailing and gnashing of teeth. You know it. All right. Coming up here on Super Talk 99.7, we'll do a little bit of year-end stuff, the stuff that happened, notable lives that were lost in 2025, and also some of the more notable events of 2025. And we'll do a little bit more on New Year's Eve, too, coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. If you're heading out tonight to ring in the new year, just know it's going to stay above freezing here in Nashville. Still going to be cold, though. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Flu cases continue to skyrocket nationwide as the holiday fatigue starts to set in. And according to ABC News, medical contributor and emergency doctor, Dr. Darian Sutton, we are nowhere near the worst of it.
Right now, 7.5 million illnesses. That's 3 million additional illnesses compared to the week prior. 81,000 hospitalizations. That's a 65% increase, totaling 3,100 deaths so far. Right now, we are still in the midst of the rising tide of this flu. We have yet to see a peak, which means we have to prepare and protect ourselves.
Now, here in Tennessee, Cookeville Regional Medical Center is limiting visitors due to a surge in flu and COVID. And Kentucky has recorded its first pediatric flu death, this one in Kenton County. Good news on Tennessee roads. Traffic deaths dropped by 14% this year. The state logging 1,045 fatalities, down from 1,194 last year. Memphis and Cookeville districts saw big declines, while rural areas like Jackson had more crashes. Here in Nashville, Nashville's district was down 13 crashes for a total of 255 fatalities. And it's already 2026 in some places around the globe. Celebrations erupt in Karachi, Pakistan, as the clock strikes midnight on January 1st, 2026. Here in Middle Tennessee, organizers of tonight's Jack Daniels Nashville's New Year's Eve Big Bash say security is the main focus. At least 500 security guards. There'll be fencing and metal detectors. You can only have clear bags to get in. The gate opens at 5:30 there at Centennial Park. And that's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
right, I don't mind this at all. 2:37 here on the Chad Benson Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I talked about the Chick-fil-A story, and I never really got to it. I do want to tell you about it. Chick-fil-A has apparently gone DEI crazy. I'm not kidding you. This is so disappointing to me. I just want to cry. And I have to admit to you that my daughter is actually a marketing manager for 2 Chick-fil-A's in Annapolis, Maryland. But there is a franchise in Utah that posted photos of 2 gay men who had just tied the knot on their Facebook page. This Utah franchise posted it on their Facebook page. It's a picture of these 2 guys. You know, one guy's carrying the other. It was whatever. And Christian customers wrote to the company headquarters and said, hey, this isn't cool. You're a Christian company founded on Christian principles. Like, what are you doing? And in response, they said they received a message from the company that noted that they embrace people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. Chick-fil-A, this is a quote, Chick-fil-A is committed to being better at together, whatever that means, by embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion in all that we do. We strive to provide a welcome and inclusive place for everyone. From the Family Research Council, Chick-fil-A built a business model based almost entirely on faith. And frankly, that means that they should be held to a higher standard. I am so disappointed in the response from corporate of Chick-fil-A. That's a crazy story. Keep your eye out, because there may be other stuff like that coming our way. I just got an update from Fox News that says Jack Smith, the former special counsel, Jack Smith, testified before Congress. They were testifying. He was testifying before the House Judiciary Committee this month. Just released from that conversation that he had with Congress is that, go back to when there was testimony about President Trump. Do you remember who Cassidy Hutchinson was? She was the one that she was an aide to Mark Meadows. And she was the one that said that President Trump was in the back of a car and he was so mad on January 6th about what was going on that he jumped over the back seat and tried to grab the steering wheel. Do you remember that story? Apparently, that was a hoax. And Jack Smith has just admitted to it. He said that she told that story with second or even third-hand information. It was not something that she witnessed. She had it on. Somebody else told her.
Color me shocked.
Oh, yeah. These are the people. This Cassidy Hutchinson, you knew she was lying while she was standing up there. She gave off that vibe. Ooh, this makes me so mad. Jack Smith finally said that he would not have taken that part of her deposition, that he would have disqualified that. Okay. Also in the news today, and you're going to find this one funny. I'm going to get to the stories of 2025. This I found was really funny. Today is the last day that illegal aliens have to accept that boosted bonus for deporting themselves from the country. They can use the CBP Home app. And today, until the end of today, they can get $3,000. If they wait till tomorrow, it's only $1,000. So there's DHS is out there saying, hey, if you want to go, now's the time, because you're not getting any more money tomorrow. It's over. I just thought that was hysterical. Okay, big stories of 2025. It started out, of course, with the inauguration of President Trump, the 47th president of the United States. He was only the second person ever elected to non-consecutive terms. Who was the first one? Bonus points for the person who can call in or text in and tell us who the first president was that served non-consecutive terms. We've probably done something like this in the past. In February, you'll remember that the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. Yay. March, the U.S. government deported 280 migrants to the El Salvador prison called CICAT. That was the big news of the day. The judge, there was a judge in that case that said the U.S. is trying to do an end run around legal protections for these people. In April, one of the big stories was that Pope Francis died. And of course, folks around the world watched that funeral. That was a huge story during that month. And then, of course, was the election of his successor, Pope Leo the 14th. Pope Leo, of course, the very first Pope from the United States. And that was something that President Trump, I don't think he's Catholic. I'm not even sure which denomination he is, but he was so proud of that because it's an American. It's an American Pope. And that's kind of the vibe you get from President Trump is that if you're American, he's going to love it. This was in June. If you remember, Minnesota state lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were shot and killed in their home by that crazy guy, Vance Bolter. That was in Minnesota, folks. And she had just voted down. This is very interesting. She had just voted down an effort by the state to give free health care to all illegal aliens in the state. She died because of it. And today we're finding out just how much fraud there is. She probably had something in her mind the reason that she was doing that. In July, you'll remember Camp Mystic, like the saddest story I think I've ever heard, the catastrophic floods in Texas that killed 135 people. And among them were those little girls, the 27 campers and counselors at Camp Mystic. This just an unbelievably tragic story that took place in July of this past year.
That was actually avoidable.
It was avoidable. Yeah, you're right. And that's probably the most tragic part of it. And that the owner is trying to resurrect that camp and keep going. I couldn't imagine sending my kid there for any amount of money after that. In August was President Trump dispatching National Guard troops to Washington, D.C., a rare domestic deployment of the military. I think that was the first deployment of military, right, to Washington, D.C. And Washington is better for it today. And I hear that from a lot of people back home, as they would say, back in Washington, D.C., where, I worked in D.C., lived in Annapolis, but worked in D.C., and the streets were scary. I'm sorry, the streets were scary in Washington, D.C., and so I'm thankful for the Guard there. And then came, of course, all kinds of rulings from judges and the Supreme Court, and the fight began there. Of course, September is the month that we will all remember together for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And there's nothing. I don't think anything else happened in that month. If you're like me, you remember where you were when you first heard it, and the sadness and the realization that political violence has reached a level that we just have never seen in our lifetimes. The craziness of it. And Charlie Kirk, of all people, who, was on the sort of the outside of the political spectrum. He wasn't a politician. It was the saddest thing. So that filled the entire month of September, personally. October was the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. And Hamas released the remaining 20 living hostages. And, of course, we have a ceasefire right now that's a little bit shaky, but President Trump is working on it, as he has been. And he did so with Benjamin Netanyahu this week, welcoming him to Mar-a-Lago. November was one of the crazier elections I think we've ever seen, but we all knew it was coming. Mamdani, the socialist, was elected mayor of New York City. And tonight, at midnight, at the stroke of midnight, he's going to be sworn in by Letitia James. Like, that's must-see TV. Not. So that happened in November. Anything else in November? The shutdown, the U.S. shutdown, the Schumer shutdown, and the longest one in U.S. history began. Was it began or did it end? The shutdown... it came to an end in November, thankfully. And then in December, of course, a lot happened, but one of them was the terrorist gunman on the beach in Bondi Beach on Hanukkah celebration in Australia. And that grabbed a lot of headlines as well. So there's kind of like the year in review. Richard from Nashville is on line one. Hiya, Richard, and Happy New Year to you. What do you have for me?
Happy New Year. You were asking who the first president was that served two consecutive terms or non-consecutive terms?
Yeah, go for it.
Stephen Grover Cleveland.
Yes, Stephen. You even used his real name. I like it.
His first name, yes. He went by Grover, but that was his full name.
Yes, I love it. Richard, you win the biggest pat on the back in the world.
Oh, my gosh. I can't tell you.
I know,
That is
right?
wonderful.
It's overwhelming. Richard, thanks for calling, and I hope you have a great... Are you doing anything special tonight?
Staying at home, but having a happy New Year other
Yes.
than that.
Yeah, so you're going to... do you stay up until the ball drops in New York City and all of that?
Oh, probably will.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, love it. Richard, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
All right, take care. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So then there were another list of things that I sort of printed out today because I wanted to make sure that we, you talk about the year that's gone past and the things that have happened. And, I kind of hate to do these, but who do we lose in 2025? Who are the people that died in 2025?
Ace Frehley.
Yes, Ace Frehley. Yeah, I have that in the stack here. The year began on January 1st with the loss of one of the Osmond brothers. Did you? I forgot all about that. So sometimes when you read these lists, you forget that you've lost that person during the year. So Wayne Osmond was his name, 73 years old. He was known for such hits as One Bad Apple, which is just a terrific song. All right. So so this is still in January. I just noted some of them. Some of them on here are very bizarre. Like I wouldn't know who this person is, but Peter Yarrow died. You remember him, of course, from Peter, Paul, and Mary. He was 86 years old when he died on January 7th. Another notable, Bob Uecker, 90 years old. We lost him in January as well. And the way they describe it here, and I forget who I printed this out from. I'm not sure, but the way they described him as he parlayed a forgettable playing career into a punchline for movie and TV appearances as Mr. Baseball and a Hall of Fame broadcasting tenure. He died on January 16th last year. Also in January, Dick Button, 95 years old, an accomplished men's figure skating history. He died on January 30th. We'll just do a couple more here because we got to take a break, but there are more.
Ozzy.
I'll get to that one too. I'm going by the dates.
Oh.
Gene Hackman died. And see, this is crazy because he died in February. He was 95 years old, by the way. He was found with his wife. You remember this story. That happened all the way back in February, but it's been talked about so much because of the discovery of their bodies and how they actually died and the realization.
It was like such a weird situation.
I never would have guessed that they lived in like a house of hoarding. The craziness of that story, and it dragged on for a little while. So I was surprised when I learned that it was in February of this year. So there's a couple of them. We'll do a couple more of these when we come back, and just the last couple of minutes of the show here. But you know what? I just want to say thanks because this has been a really cool experience, as it was when I did Chris Ann's show last week. It's always nice to be able to get out of the newsroom. We have a couple of people that are on the line. We're going to come to you next, but we have to take a little break here. It's 2:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 2:55 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's coming up in just a couple of minutes here. But, we have... Oh, I wanted to mention before we go on that a couple of super texters texted in and said, don't forget another big story was the bombing of Iran's nukes. I mean, oh my goodness, that was a huge story. Also, SpaceX setting records by... Remember when it caught the rocket midair? When it came down and it caught, that was an amazing feat. So, yeah, that's another couple of stories that just, 2025 was really an incredible year. George, hiya, what'd you have for me today?
Hey, well, we texted back and forth a few times, and I listened this afternoon. I just thought you had a good job. I finally wanted to get on there and tell you I'm glad you squeezed me in.
You're
I thought
kind.
you did great, and I love the Philly influence down there in Nashville.
Yes.
Brian got me hooked a few years ago on the morning show, and I enjoyed listening to him this week, and I listened to you and Dan, so thank you.
Thanks so much, George. Have a great new year. Appreciate you calling in. And also James from Columbia. Hey, James, you're here to correct me. You're here to correct me, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am, I sure enough I am.
Am I talking like a Yankee again?
Correct. Your pronunciation of Letitia is wrong.
It's supposed to be Letitia.
It should be Lucretia.
Oh, James, thank you for making me laugh. You're the best. Happy New Year to you, James.
I'll talk to you next year.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Thank goodness they love to make you laugh. Okay, back to the dead list. I know it's really not an appropriate way to call it, but it's the dead list. Here's who died this year. Roberta Flack died. She was 88. I forgot all about her death as well. Who else? George Foreman. Wow, George Foreman died this year. He was 76 when he died. Val Kilmer dying as well at the age of 65. That was pretty incredible. And watching him in, what was it, Top Gun? What was the second Top Gun?
Top Gun Maverick.
Maverick. And watching his acting during that hurt your soul. But it was a very cool thing for him to do. Wink Martindale died at 91 this year. Some of his shows were Gambit and Tic-Tac-Doe. Remember those? I don't remember Gambit, but I do remember Tic-Tac-Doe.
He was also known for being a very good personal friend of Elvis.
Yes, in fact, it says that here. He also did one of the first recorded television interviews with a young Elvis Presley. Wow, he died in April. Okay, Pope Francis, 88 years old. He died this year. Virginia Giuffre. I mean, it's only appropriate to mention her because the Epstein Files thing is so incredible right now. And she died, took her own life, which is sad to say. Ruth Buzzy died in May. Oh, my goodness. She was 88 years old. Remember Gladys Ormsby. Gladys Ormsby was her character. She was awesome. George Wendt died 76 years old this year from Cheers. That was just awesome. Phil Robertson. Loretta Swit died this year. That's crazy. All right, I'm getting to it. Brian Wilson, Connie Francis,
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, yes, we talked about that. Lonnie Anderson, Hulk Hogan, ouch. James Dobson, William Webster, Charlie Kirk, Robert Redford, Bernie Perrant. I just had to mention Flyers, Bernie Perrant. Come on, I know it's here somewhere. Ace Frehley died October 16th. Who else?
Did you mention Diane
Ozzy
Keaton?
Osbourne? Yes, I think so.
And, Ozzy.
Yes, and Ozzy Osbourne. Is this Ozzy Osbourne? All right, whatever. Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to sit in the air chair. I'm Joan Jones. It is now 3 o'clock.